Hello, today I'll be talking about my top 10 favorite movies of 2024. Before I dive into my top 10, let me go ahead and give you guys a couple of honorable mentions that I have. One of those movies is Immaculate, and this is a movie that, of course, has Sydney Sweeney. One of the two movies I've only seen her in, the other one being Madam Web. After seeing Madam Web, not too long after I saw it, I started feeling kind of bad that it was my introduction to her, because I know she was an actress that got a lot of buzz this year, especially. So I decided. So at some point later, I checked out one of her other movies, and that movie ended up being Immaculate, and I personally enjoyed Immaculate. I mean, I know the ending is a bit controversial for some people. I won't say what it is for those who haven't seen it, but personally, it didn't really bother me as much as for some other people. But either way, I thought the movie was pretty good. But my other honorable mention is Cuckoo, and this is a movie that's definitely better to go in blind. I mean, the trailer doesn't give away too much, or at least the one trailer that I saw for the movie. But if you haven't seen Cuckoo, definitely check it out. For sure, definitely an interesting watch. But that was definitely a movie I did want to mention in this video. But that's it for honorable mentions. Let's go ahead and dive into my top 10. My top 10 will be in no particular order, but the first movie I do want to talk about is a movie that I feel that I wish was could have done better box office wise, or just in general had more success, and that movie is Furiosa, the prequel to Fury Road. This might be a hot take, I'm not sure, but I think I might like it as much as Fury Road. I wouldn't say more, but they're about on the same level for me personally. I mean, I know some people were not too big on it, especially when comparing it to Fury Road. And again, I get it. Fury Road is definitely a movie that did very well with fans, but personally, I really like Furiosa. Again, that Furiosa and Fury Road are maybe a bit equal for me, but which again might be a hot take. But I personally really dug Furiosa. I really liked Anya Taylor-Joy in the role, and I don't know. I feel like I seem to enjoy this movie more than some people, but either way, I enjoyed it enough to the point where it ended up getting into my top 10. But if you weren't into it the first time, I'd suggest definitely giving it another chance, because for me, Furiosa, personally really dug it. But the next movie we'll be talking about is Abigail. So for those who have not seen it, I believe this was a movie that came out somewhere in the first half of the year, and basically you have this ballerina that gets captured by these group of people that are hired to capture her, and they have to keep her in this house and wait for the person to come to the home and give them their prize or money or something like that. And what they don't know is that this ballerina is actually some sort of vampire. And for me, it's definitely a fun watch. One of the actresses from Scream 5 and 6 is in this movie. I'm blanking out on her name, but either way, if you like horror, if you like vampires, definitely check out this movie. You do get some gore in here. I mean, it's not like gory, like Terrifier gory or anything like that, but again, it does have some gore and some blood. And for me, definitely a pretty fun watch. And if you're into horror or vampires, definitely check out Abigail if you haven't seen it. For me, personally, really enjoyed that movie. But the next movie we'll be going to is another movie in the world of horror, and much anticipated too, and that movie is Maxine. Definitely one of my most anticipated movies of the year. Probably top 3 of the year in terms of my excitement. I mean, I really dug X and Pearl. I mean, honestly, I'm not really quite sure what my favorite is of the franchise. I might say X, I don't know, but personally, I think all 3 of these are really good. But Maxine definitely delivered, in my opinion. I don't know if it's my favorite of the franchise, but I still think it was actually pretty good. For me, it didn't really feel as gory as the other 2, but even with that, I still had a good time with it. And I think if we're talking some of the best trilogies of all time in the world of horror, you can maybe make an argument for the X trilogy, or however you call it. But again, Maxine, definitely really good. And Mia Goth is definitely an actress to look out for sure, especially in the world of horror or scream queens or however you want to put it. But yeah, Maxine, really good stuff, really good movie. The next movie we'll be moving into the superhero genre. We'll be talking about Deadpool and Wolverine. This was another movie like many people I was really looking forward to, and for me it definitely delivered. I mean, of course, I did like the cameos, especially the Blade cameo, because I do like the Blade movies. Minus Trinity, I think Trinity is crap, but 1 and 2 I think are really good. But yeah, Deadpool and Wolverine definitely really delivered on 1, the R rating, and 2, the humor and just the banter between Deadpool and Wolverine is just so fun to watch, and also delivered on the action. You do get some blood, and it was a movie that definitely didn't hold back. And after seeing it, I knew it was going to crack my top 10 of the year. All around, just a really fun watch, and yeah. Really, really awesome. Definitely, probably top 5 of the year. I personally really dug it. But the next movie on my list, on my top 10, is Longlegs. So this was definitely a pleasant surprise, especially with Nicolas Cage's performance. His performance is definitely one of the big highlights of this movie, and definitely one of the big reasons to go see this if you like Nicolas Cage. But I think Micah Monroe, if I got her name right, she plays the detective. I thought she was also really good in the movie too. But yeah, if you're into films like Seven or Silence of the Lambs, which is what this movie, you can maybe say kind of pays tribute to a little bit. You can maybe say, I mean, if you're into that type of thing, definitely check out Longlegs. Or if you just like Nicolas Cage, definitely check out Longlegs. Definitely a really interesting performance from from him. Yeah, Nicolas Cage. His performance is definitely something else in this movie. And again, if you haven't seen Longlegs, definitely highly recommend it for sure. But the next movie on my list is Heretic, and so with this movie, you have some religious themes, and so basically, you have these 2 Catholics that visit this person's home to preach about God's word or tell them about their Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. And they come in, and after some conversations, they eventually learn that they're locked in the house, and things get crazier from there. I'll just leave it at that. And this is another movie, kind of like with Longlegs. Definitely a movie I highly recommend. Definitely, and maybe better to go into blind, maybe, but at the same time, the trailer doesn't give too much away either. So, Heretic, if you haven't seen it, definitely check it out. And Sophie Thatcher, especially, I think is also pretty good in the movie, and also Hugh Grant as the antagonist. He was definitely one of the big highlights of the movie for sure. But yeah, again, if you haven't seen Heretic, definitely check it out. But next on my list is Alien Romulus. I absolutely love this movie. I even have the popcorn bucket, which I believe this lights up. Let's see here. There you go. And for me, this was the last one at my theater, so I definitely took it for sure. Not cheap though. This thing was $40, which is baffling, but you know, I don't care. It's worth it. This thing is really cool to have, especially if you're an Alien fan. I mean, I have an Alien poster right over there by my Metallica poster, an Aliens poster. But I also have the cup here. You have the Alien right there. Definitely really cool, but yeah, I really enjoyed Alien Romulus. Easily the best one since Aliens, the second one. And this has come from someone that actually enjoyed Prometheus. I know not everyone's into that movie, but I enjoyed Prometheus. And I actually liked it more than Covenant, which Covenant I'm kind of in the middle on. I'd say overall I liked the movie but didn't love it. I just feel like the characters weren't that interesting. Well, except for David. I do like the David character, but I feel like the rest of the characters or cast were just kind of meh characters for me. But again, Alien Romulus definitely easily the best since the second one. I mean, of course, for me, I liked the younger characters that you got in this movie. I mean, the CGI or deep fake or whatever the term is, that's on that classic character. If you've seen the movie, you'll know what I'm talking about. The CGI they kind of did on him looked kind of rough in my opinion, but besides that, definitely a really strong Alien movie for sure. And if they were to continue this storyline somehow, I would definitely be open to it for sure. But yeah, Alien Romulus, definitely really good. But now we'll be going back to the horror genre. More specifically, you can maybe say slasher, and that movie is Terrifier 3. Really enjoyed Terrifier 3. It definitely delivers on the gore. Now, is it more gory or more intense than Terrifier 2? I think they're about equal in terms of like gore and how far they go in terms of violence and stuff like that. I think they're about the same, but even with that, I really enjoyed Terrifier 3. I mean, there are definitely scenes in this movie that will definitely get a reaction out of you for sure. But if you were a fan of the previous two, then you'll definitely enjoy this one. But if you were into what they did in the first two movies, this movie probably won't change your mind on the franchise or anything like that. But Terrifier 3, definitely had a really great time with it. And if you're a gore hound, then you'll love this movie for sure. But next movie on my list is Gladiator 2. So yeah, I do have the popcorn bucket, which also has this helmet thing here. And yes, I do also have the cup, and this is what the cup looks like. And also at my theater, we got these keychain things here. But yeah, definitely really cool. And when it comes to Gladiator 2, I've seen somewhat mixed responses. Definitely more positive, I'd say, but again, somewhat kind of mixed though. I mean, it is basically more the same, but at the same time, even with that, I still really enjoyed the movie. I mean, the only characters I weren't too big on were the twin emperors. They did nothing for me, especially the younger one. If I'm remembering correctly, he'd also appear in Kraven the Hunter. I can't remember the actor's name, but I just really could not stand his character in Gladiator 2. But I also didn't like him in Kraven the Hunter either. If you know what actor I'm talking about, then you know. But I'm also not a fan of the other brother emperor or whatever in Gladiator 2 too. But Denzel Washington is definitely one of the big highlights of the movie for sure. I mean, but how could he not? It's Denzel Washington. And I mean, the actor that they have in the main role, maybe not as interesting or as captivating of a character as Russell Crowe's character, but at the same time, I thought he was solid enough in the movie. Now, some of the CGI on some of the animals is a bit rough, but that didn't bother. That didn't take me out of the moment or anything like that, or ruin the movie for me or anything like that. I think Gladiator 2 is definitely a worthy sequel. Some fans might disagree with me on that, while I know some people might agree with me, but personally, I really dug Gladiator 2. But now let's go ahead and move on to the final movie for my top 10, and that movie is The Substance. While this is a movie that I probably wouldn't watch over and over by any means, probably wouldn't have strong replay value or anything like that, but just for the experience, I don't know. It was definitely an interesting watch for sure, and I'd say it's a must watch, especially if you want to see just something different from what you usually watch or anything like that, or of course if you're a fan of horror, definitely check out this movie for sure. It's in the category of body horror, which is a subgenre that I'm not super familiar with or super deep into, but this was a movie I was curious about because of all the buzz that I was getting. And yeah, I mean, Demi Moore's performance in this is definitely something else, and definitely one of the big highlights of the movie too. Same with Margaret Qualley, if I got her name right. But yeah, The Substance, definitely a movie I had to mention in my top 10. But yeah, that is my top 10 favorite movies of 2024. Let me know your thoughts on my list in the comment section below, and let me know your top 10 too, also in the comment section below, and all the good stuff. But anyways, thanks for watching. Please leave a comment and a like, subscribe. Have a nice day and take care.